What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Hope you guys are getting used to the backyard. And let me know in the comments below if you guys like the backyard videos. No, I'm not going to do these all the time. I'm definitely going to have some videos where I need to use the green screen. I need to use graphics, things like that. But when I do an opinion-based video, something like this, if you guys like the scenery, maybe I'll pop out on the deck more often. So let me know in the comments below. It's nice to get some fresh air. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the topic that a lot of you guys, like I said in my previous video, brought up in the live stream last night. If the New York Giants bomb next year, if they finish with the first pick, if they finish with the second, third pick, do they trade up or draft Trevor Lawrence if he falls to them at 2 or 3, or if they have the first overall selection? And, you know, and I also want to address Clocks, one of my best subscribers. We don't agree on a lot of things, but we're both passionate and we like to express our viewpoints. And here's my thought process talking about this. First off, why are we even going into a season thinking that this is a possibility? Why are we even going into a season thinking about that? It's the same thing I've said about Dave Gettleman. Why are we going into the season saying that Dave Gettleman needs to be fired? And why are we going into the season even thinking about the possibility of a quarterback who threw 24 touchdowns in 12 starts, was 3 touchdowns away from breaking the all-time touchdown record, is going to be replaced after 2 years, or he could be replaced after 2 years? Now, I recognize the possibility if Dave Gettleman were to be fired, that if they brought in a general manager that had a different philosophy and didn't view Daniel Jones as his quarterback, they could move on if they had the first overall selection. I recognize that. But I'm not going into the year thinking it's a possibility. I'm going into the year optimistic. Daniel Jones showed me enough last year for me to think that he could build off of that and only get better. You can make an argument that Daniel Jones was the best rookie quarterback in football last year. You could make that argument. Now, I realize that he definitely accrued some of those stats against weak opponents, right? The Jet game, he threw 4 touchdowns. The Redskins, 5 touchdowns, so on and so forth. So I recognize that, and that's an argument a lot of people have, and I recognize the fumbling problems. And Jeffrey Abbey is the biggest Daniel Jones advocate that I know. No, I'm kidding. I love Jeffrey Abbey. He just has conflicting opinions when it comes to Daniel Jones, and he's passionate about it, just like everybody else on my page, or most people on my page, and myself included, that are passionate in favor of at least giving Daniel Jones an opportunity to prosper. But what this situation reminds me of is my favorite New York Giant of all time, and that's Eli Manning. Eli Manning went through the same exact thing when he first entered the league. You know, I remember my friend Brian, rest in peace, was a big advocate from moving on from Eli Manning after 2 or 3 years. He said he wanted Jared Lorenzen to get an opportunity, the hefty lefty. He wanted the Giants to draft a quarterback. And Eli Manning got the doubt for his first 4 years in the league until he won a Super Bowl. So my answer to this is we need to learn from our past, and we need to be patient. Obviously, the Giants had a much better foundation back then. They won football games, and it's why people kind of eased off Eli Manning, even though he was in the transition process. They won 11 games, I think it was, in his second year. And, and then they went to the playoffs 2 years straight before they won that Super Bowl. But Eli Manning was not playing at the top level. He didn't really start to really hit his stride until that playoff run in which they won the Super Bowl. And that's when people kind of gave him some leeway and said, okay, this is our franchise quarterback. Daniel Jones last year, record aside, which was not very good as a starter, 3-9, did a lot better than Eli Manning did his first year. Eli Manning was horrible his rookie season. He wasn't great his second year either. He started to show progression, and I expect the same thing for Daniel Jones. But we should not be going into the season off a year where Daniel Jones, for the most part, had a strong year with half of his weapons out every week. Saquon Barkley, his best player, wasn't himself for half the year. I say it all the time. I don't need to continue to say it. All of his weapons were out. He had a subpar offensive line. They've improved that offensive line. Why, as fans, do we feel the need to be negative? Why, as New York fans, do we feel the need to be pessimistic? Why don't we say to ourselves, this kid, had a pretty good rookie year, all things considered, playing in the biggest media market, being booed by the fans right away, and he really put his best foot forward and definitely showed us how he could be better. I showed you guys a graph a couple of days ago talking about he's the most accurate deep ball thrower in the NFL last year. I just don't understand for the life of me why people, before the year even starts, are already thinking about the possibility of replacing Daniel Jones. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be completely honest with you. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I continue to say that. Is he going to be great? I don't know. I need to see the parts that they put around him. But if he could shore up those fumbling problems, there's no reason to think he can't be a very good quarterback in this league. Carson Wentz, the guy fumbles just as much as Daniel Jones does. You don't hear Eagles fans talking about wanting to replace him because they've won football games. Jones has some things he needs to work on, and hopefully he does, and hopefully improves. But one thing you can't deny about Daniel Jones is the guy's work ethic is through the chart. Everything you hear about him, whether it was the last video I talked about, whether it was a couple of videos a couple of weeks ago, everybody, his former coaches, guys on the staff, talk about how hard of a worker this guy is, how great Daniel Jones wants to be. And as fans, we should give him that opportunity. We should give him that opportunity. We shouldn't be going into this year talking about Trevor Lawrence. We shouldn't be going into this year talking about the 2021 draft. This year, we should be excited to see the guy who we hope and think is going to be our franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. And that's all I got to say about it. I think Daniel Jones has got the talent. I think he's going to have an opportunity this year to prove a lot of people wrong yet again. Will they win football games? I continue to express we need to be patient. We may not win a lot of football games because of the schedule that we play and because of how young the surrounding roster is on both sides of the football. But when you factor in the salary cap, when you factor in how much Daniel Jones is due to make, right? He's on his rookie salary. I don't know the numbers because I can't show them to you right now because I'm on my deck. But he's due to make about $7 million probably over the last 2 years of that contract, being that he was the 6th overall pick. Now you're telling me you want to then go and draft another quarterback? It doesn't add up. As Giant fans, we should be rooting for this team to win at least 6 or 7 games, get him to keep his job, and Daniel Jones to be the quarterback going forward. And even if they were to replace Dave Gettleman, I think the New York Giants personally would probably hire from within. A guy like Abrams, like I've talked about. Joe Judge seems to love Daniel Jones. The New England Patriots, where he is initially from, love Daniel Jones by all accounts. Daniel Jones is going to be this quarterback at least for the next 2 or 3 years, minimum. He is not going to be replaced by Trevor Lawrence. He's not going to be replaced by anybody else. I don't even think he'll be replaced if they have the number 1 overall pick. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. If that takes place, I don't think it will. I think New York Giants are going to compete this year. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near have the opportunity to draft Trevor Lawrence, and I think a large reason for that will be the growth of Daniel Jones. But that's my 2 cents. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.